I call the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Mr Speaker, there are times when the Green Party and I have disagreed on some things, but I've got to say that that last contribution summed up, I think, the piffle that this bill is. This is the National Party's big hit. This is the big hit from the National Party. So the National Party effectively is telling voters, you know, typical National Party, give with one hand, take with the other. So they're telling voters in this bill, out of the generosity of their heart, that people can unleash or being able to withdraw their retirement savings to use it as a deposit on a home loan, but in return for sacrificing their retirement savings, the extra amount people could withdraw as a result of this bill would be equivalent to less than 1 month of Auckland house price inflation. That's how generous these guys are. The $521 that the Green colleague was talking about, less than 1 month of Auckland house price inflation. So when they talk about 90,000 people who are supposed to sort of, you know, go down on their knees and thank the national government for their great generosity, it's equivalent to less than 1 month of Auckland house price inflation. And you've got to say as a minister, and Nick Smith's been around in and out of the cabinet half a dozen times, I've been a cabinet minister, what you look to for official advice is you look for some sort of affirmation. You turn to officials in your ministry, they're the specialists, they're the people with skills, and you say to them, look, is what I'm about to propose going to work? Well, he did that, and the best they could do, and the words will hang around his neck as a political epitaph, when we asked the MB officials, as other colleagues have said in the Select Committee, how good is this going to be? The best they could do was, quote unquote, call it tentatively positive. Well, that is a ringing endorsement. Maybe the official who answered had calculated that if he unlocks his Kiwisaver, he will have the equivalent of less than 1 month's housing inflation towards a deposit. No wonder he was tentatively positive. That was the official advice. But worse than that, sir, worse than that, when you look at the overall advice by the various government agencies, the cracker for me is this, where they say that increasing deposit subsidies is likely to stimulate demand and thus increase prices in supply-constrained markets, thereby undermining housing affordability, quote unquote. Now, we had a great lecture from that genius, sir, from the government, David Bennett, on what a market does and he explained to us in his own sort of fifth form economics type of way what a market does. Well, the problem for poor old David Bennett is he didn't read the advice from specialist economists advising him and his own minister that say this is a dud. And then the advice goes on. It says the higher income caps shift the government's support from low to medium income households to virtually all households. Then it goes on to say half of the eligible sales last year were in areas where housing affordability is not an acute issue. So these guys have come up with an absolute cracker. Their gift to those people who want to get on the housing ladder is less than 1 month's Auckland housing inflation, $500 and some, and they expect the people of New Zealand to go down on bended knee and be grateful for that. This is the big hit, we're told. They talk about 90,000 people. Well, at best, you might get 90,000 people who get $500 a month per year towards a deposit, as the Green colleague said, of over 100,000. How generous is that? So I say to the National Party members, as Andrew Little did to your leader, cut the crap. Cut the crap. Because you people, and I hope the next speaker, I think I know which turkey is going to call for the early Christmas, the next one, which it's going to be, I'd like him to get up and address and rebut the official advice, sir, from his own government's agencies, which says this is a dunger. Now, we'll support it, because I suppose $520 once a year is better than no bucks once a year, but let's not dress it up. This is mutton dressed up as mutton from the National Party, sir. Nothing more, nothing less. And the ashen-faced performances of such enthusiasm for people like Jamie Lee Ross and that economic genius David Bennett do not alter the fact, the man who knows everything about markets, does not alter the fact that this is a dunger, sir. $521, and Mr Ross can laugh. Well, I ask him to get up and take a call and tell us how 1 month, have another one, mate, have another one, we'll do you slowly, how 1 month, less than 1 month of Auckland housing inflation is going to help the average New Zealander get into a home. It's a dud, sir, and it's a con.
I call Alistair Scott.